dress and a meme. Say it softer, say it wrong. Turn my siren to a song. Quiet part out loud till it drowns in the crowd. Twist my words, twist the knife. Put your fingers in my eyes. Quiet part out loud. Then you push it on the ground. Talking heads with their plastic concerns. Smile on fire, but the script never burns. Spin that wheel, make a bullet sound like hope. They brand the rope, then sell us all the soap. Say it softer, say it wrong. Turn my siren to a song. Quiet part out loud till it drowns in the crowd. Twist my words, twist the knife. Turn the cameras off. Now tell me what you see. Numbers, markets, never bodies, never me. You feed on fear, then blame the ones who scream. You frame the cage and call it both sides of the scene. I see the edit marks, I see the hidden cuts. Your halo made of ads, your halo made of dust. I won't sit still while you rewrite my mouth. I'll drag that buried truth. I'll drag it
Platner's Evil Exes, Blanche for AG, and Obama's Chicago Eyesore. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Quiet Part Pod. My name is Chris. How's everybody doing? It's Thursday. We've got news. We've got fun. We got mayhem. Guys, stick around. It's going to be a fun one. But before we move on, guys, like, comment, share, follow. Do all the things make the algorithm happy. I am going live. Believe it or not, I am live tonight on YouTube. I'm on Rumble. I'm on VP Zone. I'm even on X. That's right. I turned them all on tonight. I turned everything on tonight, and we're going to have some fun with it. We're going to have fun, but let's get down to it. Let's do that. Like all the things, follow all the things, and let's have some fun. All right, welcome back. Oh, what a day. It's technically my Friday because, I got tomorrow off, and it's great. I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun. I'm loving life. That's right. I am loving life because I get to have Friday off, and that's awesome. And you know what? We got a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's just go to it. But before we get into the actual news, we got to start with the fun stuff. We got to start with the jokes. We got to do it. It is the way we do it around here. Build you up just to tear you back down. Here we go. All right, we got Miss Autumn official. Here you go.
You have to put your 2 cents in, but it's only a penny for your thoughts. Where the heck does the extra penny go? If a turtle doesn't have a shell, is it homeless or naked? If quitters never win and winners never quit, who in the haydiddle came up with quit while you're ahead? If the Energizer Bunny attacked somebody, would it be charged with battery? Why do you have to put your 2 cents in?
You're killing me. I liked it. I liked it. That's it. I liked it, guys. It was awesome. In fact, I'm even gonna like the post. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show my support. I'm gonna like the post. You did a good job. Anyway, let's keep going. We got a psychotic break happening here with Miss Patriotic. She's playing a bit, but she's gonna have a psychotic break going. Here you go.
Oh my gosh, did you hear about that guy who was dying and saying, "I can't breathe"? So heartbreaking. Yeah, George Floyd, the video, the knee, the whole thing still gets me. No, not George Floyd, Henry Noack. He was 18 years old, he was stabbed in the UK 5 times by Vikram Digwa. Police show up, Henry's on the floor bleeding out, and they end up handcuffing him while he's gasping, saying, "I can't breathe." He died in cuffs. The guy who stabbed him literally told the police it was a racist attack on him. Wait, was Henry white? Yeah, oh. Yeah, anyway, about George Floyd though, that was totally systemic. Did you hear about the Australian photojournalist, Dominic O'Brien? He's 62 years old and he was a veteran. Dude's just walking in Melbourne, some guy walks off. They talk for a second, and then the guy pinches him and stomps his head into the concrete. Dominic died a few days later. Oh my god, that's awful! Who did that? Lamanija Friday Oguju, a 42-year-old released immigration detainee on a bridging visa. Oh. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't post that one on X. Okay, this one's crazy. Austin Metcalf was just practicing a sport and he politely tells the guy who came into his tent, say, "Hey, this is our tent, you gotta leave," and he gets stabbed to death. Oh my gosh, that's so evil, poor kid. Who stabbed him? His name was Carmelo Anthony. Oh. I mean, that changes everything. We can't just rush to judgment. I mean, he's probably traumatized. You're so right. We should donate to Carmelo's GoFundMe. Oh my god.
I did have ulterior motives for selecting that one. As you probably clicked on the thumbnail and you saw what it said, we're going to talk about Carmelo Anthony. We're going to talk about Carmelo Anthony. And I saw this video. I'm like, you know what? This is perfect. This is a perfect time to play this video. So let's keep going. We got more. Jake saying the things. Here you go.
I mean, genuinely, why would you do this? Yeah. Great, now we got a slip spot on stage.
Well, what happens next is a word that she probably spells with 4 letters, consequences, and they didn't give her diploma. How do you think she took that?
And I'm reporting here to talk about my discrimination. Wait. I've come here to talk about how I've been wrongfully done at Chicago Tech Academy and how I didn't receive my diploma because I did a split on stage.
Golly, it's like Sid the Sloth from O-Block. Nig the Sloth. Nice. All right, now spell diploma.
I'd like to tell you a story all about how this dumbass got told no and still left ass out. So I'd like to take a moment, just sit right there. I'll tell you how Kishonda left in despair.
Full disclosure, I have no idea what her name is. But essentially, she said, "Hey, I'm going to do splits on stage." And the staff said, "No. If you do, you're not getting your diploma." And then she did, which I guess means discrimination.
Accountability's not that hard, I promise. But listen, lady, you're making racism and stuff way too easy. I mean, literally everybody gets in, and as somebody in the top 1% of the top 1%, we might have to do a whole restructure, and that's going to destroy my ELO.
And I've been in the competitive racism scene for a while now, and this doesn't even register for the Pee Weenie Hut rankings.
Using a victim card made out of cotton candy. Well, call me River, bitch. That's right, I'm still not over the raccoon thing. Get fucked, cunt! Merchants a bio. Whoop!
Oh, man, I miss Jake. Jake, every day. He is great. I kind of look forward to seeing his posts just because he's just so good at what he does. He's so good at what he does, and he owns it. He doesn't pretend to be anything else. He owns what he does, and that is great. I appreciate that. We need more people like Jake in this world. All right. I've built you up. I've given you the laughter. I've given you the funny stuff. I've even given you the really, really base takes. Now we're going to go on to the news. All right, we're not gonna mince words. We're gonna go right into it. Prosecutor tells jury that teen's killing at a Texas track meet was murder and not self-defense. Oh my God, you would tell the jury something like that? You don't know what was in his mind. Dude brought a knife to a track meet. Put himself in a place where he knew he shouldn't have been. Yeah. Prosecutors on Thursday told jurors that Texas teenager competing at a high school track meet provoked a 17-year-old boy from a rival team before fatally stabbing him in the chest and fleeing as people rushed to help. Well, I mean, you're supposed to come in, cause the chaos, and escape when the chaos starts. I mean, that's getting away one-on-one. You escape in the chaos. A defense attorney told jurors that Carmelo Anthony was acting in self-defense when he pulled out a knife and stabbed Austin Metcalf after Metcalf had made physical contact with Anthony. I mean, that's I suppose one way to put it. I mean, it's not right, but I mean, you're welcome to say whatever you want. You got to set that narrative early, you know. The accounts of the stabbing emerged as a trial opened up in a case that stunned an affluent Dallas suburb where the pair attended school. The death last year quickly drew wide attention, in part because of social media posts that amplified the case in racial terms. You started it in racial terms. Anthony, now 19, is black, while Metcalf was white. So black kid stabs white kid. I mean, I remember when the story broke. Literally every single post was that Austin, the white kid that died, was a raging redneck racist. That was all you heard about. That was all you heard for like the first 5 days of this story. And then more details came out. Actual evidence came out. And we learned a slightly different story, which is kind of weird. So yes, it started off as a racial thing. Not because we wanted it to be, but that's how you wanted to portray it. Anthony told police he was protecting himself when the two got into a confrontation during a track meet in Frisco, a booming city in Dallas' sprawling north suburbs, according to an arrest report. But prosecutor Bill Werski told jurors it was senseless murder and not a case of self-defense. He called it a sneak surprise attack and said Anthony knows he goaded the murder. Fishy, how you doing? How you doing, buddy? Welcome in. Welcome in. I bet you didn't see that one coming. That's right. I'm welcoming Fishy. I'm welcoming Fishy, of all people. Fishy's my boy. Well, I guess he's a fish, but I mean, he's my dude. He didn't want to fight, Werski said of Metcalf. The jury was seated this week under an increased security at a Collin County courthouse, and a judge has set strict rules over the proceedings, including prohibiting attorneys from discussing the case publicly. Dozens of people lined up to get a seat in the courtroom Thursday. Down. Welcome in, sir. Welcome in. You're holding down the fort for us. Down is always here. Down is an amazing supporter. Thank you, sir. Thank you. The stabbing happened on a rainy morning in April 2025. Witnesses told police that the confrontation began when Anthony sat under a tent belonging to Metcalf's team, according to an arrest report. The teens went to different high schools in Frisco. When Metcalf told Anthony that he needed to move, Anthony reached inside his bag and allegedly replied, "Touch me and see what happens," the report said. Robert Starr, a track coach at Memorial High School, where Metcalf was a student and athlete, explained to jurors that a tent at a track competition marks your spot and is similar to a team bench in other sports. You don't just go into somebody else's tent uninvited. Shocking, right? Who could have seen that statement coming? Like literally anyone who's played any sports ever, maybe you just have to have seen a sport happen at one point in time to know that, right? I mean, you didn't see LeBron go sit at the other team's bench, did you? I mean, that would have been kind of a baller move on his part, But that's not how it works, right? You sit where your team is supposed to sit. That's how this works. And while I'm at it, let's think about something for a moment. This happened in April 2025. Jury selection is happening today. You know that maybe I'm misreading something, but that whole right to a speedy trial thing that's in the Bill of Rights should be happening faster than a year later. Am I misunderstanding this? I mean, you have a right to a speedy trial. You should have a speedy trial, especially if you're accused of something so heinous. You want to get to the facts right away. You want to get your side of the story out there. You want everybody to come to the conclusion that you did no wrong. So why would you, as a defense, want this to drag out over a year before you even get to jury selection? KD, welcome. Well, thank you for smashing those like buttons and going to bed. You know, keep it going on the computer in the background because those watch hours matter, man. Do me a solid. I mean, the like buttons, and don't worry, that is doing me a solid. I'm not complaining, but you know, just let it run in the background. It's cool. I see how it is. Just ignore killing intense straight up. Didn't I say hi to you? I swear I said hi to you. I may have missed you. I'm sorry, killing intense. I will go out back and get my lashes later. You know, I don't want to leave the stream, you know. But yeah, I do apologize. I did skip over you if I did. And it was not intentional. I thought I read your name out. I apologize. We got Cyber over on YouTube. Yeah, Cyber's holding it down on YouTube. I don't know why that chat didn't come in either. That's weird. It's set up for it to come in. Problems. I fix problems and then other problems come out. Mothertopia. Hello. You know, I even fixed my my goals bars. Yeah, I found the bot. I fixed that. You know, that was awesome. You know, I'm proud of myself. I found something and I did a thing. But yeah, isn't it interesting? Isn't it strangely interesting that we have this thing right to a speedy trial, and it seems like these go further and further out. We saw something similar with Luigi Mangione, right? Where we got to the point of just pre-trial stuff, where stuff is actually happening in the courtroom, but it's not even a jury selection. It's not at the actual case trial happening, but it's already more than almost 2 years before we're getting to this point. That's not a very speedy trial. That is not very speedy. This needs to change. We have to have that change. In his opening remarks, defense attorney Mike Howard said Metcalf made first contact. Yeah, he walked up and said, "Hey, you're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here." Is that really first contact? Is that the problem? Was there a problem with that statement? I don't think so. In that split second, Mello had his decision to make. Mello? Was it too much to say Carmelo? Mello. Mello has a decision to make. How and when to act. Self-defense is useless if you wait too late to defend yourself. He reacts in a split second of fear, Howard said. You're not supposed to be here. Even if I said that in an aggressive way, hey, you're not supposed to be here. How is that a situation where you think, oh man, I got to get defensive. I got to get my knife. I must react. I mean, maybe I grew up in a different time. Maybe I'm thinking incorrectly. Starr told the jury that he rushed to the tent when he saw the commotion. I see Austin on the ground and his face purple, and he has a big hole in his chest, the coach said, choking up in the witness chair. Another area track coach, Vincent Hooper, testified that he put his arm around Anthony and asked what had happened. Anthony replied that he stabbed someone who would put his hands on me, Hooper recalled. Again, even if I was very, very aggressive in my tone saying, hey, you got to go, and I went to grab your arm and help you out of your seat, you know, kind of as an invitation to show you what I really meant. That's still not worthy of a stabbing. I mean, maybe I could be wrong. Shy, I don't know. He hasn't said anything. He might be here. I don't know. He was here the other night. I know this because he followed me and it pops up on the screen when somebody follows me. Anthony faces up to life in prison if convicted of murder. The parents of both teens have said they were good students who planned to go to college. Metcalf's father has condemned those who seized on the race of the teenagers after the killing. This was not a race thing. It's not a political thing. Comment if you don't know what happened, Jeff Metcalf said on Fox News, America Reports. This is a human being thing. This person made a bad choice and it affected both his family and my family forever. Authorities have also issued warnings about the online discussions surrounding the killing. Frisco Police Chief David Shilson has urged people to beware of posts spreading misinformation, hate, fear, and division. Again, I'm going based off of the video we've seen. I'm going based off of the firsthand accounts of what happened. I'm sorry, there is very few situations in which we should look at this and go, okay, unless dude's actually literally throwing hands, just beating on Carmelo to say, you gotta go, and just not letting up, there's no reason to go that defensive. You don't have a second wait. Okay, fine. If it's, hey, you gotta go, and I'm just gonna help you out of your seat, that's not a reason to stab anybody. That is zero reason to stab anybody ever. This did not need to escalate this way. It did not need to be that situation. And you know what? He was calm. He said, I just stabbed you because, he was threatening me. And he knew he was going to get away with it. He knew the way the media would view this, and it wasn't going to be against him. That is ultimately the biggest problem. He knew through watching everything going on in the world in the past 5 years that he was going to be perfectly okay. And now he's going to find out that that might not be the case. What a world we live in. What a world we live in. Guys, like, comment, share, follow. If you just got here, be sure to do all those things. It helps the algorithm out, and it certainly helps me out, and I appreciate it when you do so. Let's keep going. All right. Trump says he will nominate acting AG Todd Blanche to permanently lead the Justice Department. That is a sign of respect. I appreciate that statement. I appreciate that. Trump made the announcement in a video recorded during the Rose Garden Club dinner Wednesday evening. Well, this was yesterday, and I didn't cover it yesterday. Oh, man. I'm ashamed of myself. I didn't cover the news right away. But hey, let's play the video anyway.
His work speak for itself, but I think the president has admired him for what he's done at the EPA. More importantly, what he has succeeded in doing. That is, you've had a lot of cabinet members that have drawn fire, drawn a lot of litigation.
It looks like we do have an update coming directly from the president. The press secretary just retweeting his Truth Social, saying, quote, Bondi is a great American patriot and a loyal friend who faithfully served as my attorney general over the past year. Pam did a tremendous job, says the president, overseeing a massive crackdown in crime across our country, with murders plummeting to their lowest level since 1900. We love Pam, and she will be transitioning to a much needed and important new job in the private sector, to be announced at a date in the near future. And our Deputy Attorney General, and a very talented and respected legal mind, Todd Blanche, will step in to serve as acting Attorney General. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So a little bit different than perhaps was originally expected, that she would move to another position in the administration. He's announcing she's moving to the private sector.
Yeah, the thing to keep in mind about this is there is no bad blood that any of us are aware of between Bondi and Trump. Now, we can't speak for a relationship, obviously, that we're not part of, but I can't imagine that the president has not found her service to be really the pinnacle of loyalty. And she's literally the first one there whenever trouble starts. She's been criticized for that in terms of her role at the Department of Justice. Now, Todd Blanche, I'm also familiar with. He's a very good lawyer. And he's a no-nonsense guy. And whether he's here on an interim basis or he's being considered for the AG position, he is someone who is also a diehard Trump loyalist, in the sense he really believes in the president's policies. He believes in the president. He's also someone who sort of cuts through a lot of the noise. He gets these jobs done. And, you know, I think the president would necessarily have to consider him on that short list. You've got two very interesting choices here. What's fascinating about Todd and Lee is that they're both a bit understated. They're two individuals who are often heralded in private among people for what they are able to do to get things moving. It's not that they choose the path of least resistance. There is no path of least resistance in the Trump administration. But they tend to be successful in what they have done.
Todd's
in
put
this
out his own
administration.
statement now as well, Jonathan. Pam Bondi led this department, he said, with strength and conviction, and I'm grateful for her leadership and friendship. Says Blanche, thank you to President Trump for the trust and the opportunity to serve as acting attorney general. We will continue backing the blue, enforcing the law, and doing everything in our power to keep America safe. So confirmed on all fronts there.
Yeah, and also the thing to remember about Bondi is she has, we talked a little bit about possible critics even in the GOP on the Hill. She has a great number of fans, including the police unions, the police organizations, law enforcement generally. She's viewed as a lifetime champion of law enforcement. They trust her. And I think that, you know, those groups are going to want to see someone with that same record. But I expect that anyone you'll get in the Trump administration will do that. Like you, I'm a little surprised that she's not moving laterally to a different position. That, you know, the president's saying she's going into the private sector. But I wouldn't assume that there is bad blood here. You know, the president has a record of personnel changes when he wants to mix things up, try to move things forward. And, you know, he is looking in the next couple years as sort of close combat when it comes to legal issues. These cases are going to increase. If the Democrats take the House, you're going to have really the Democratic leadership come back with a vengeance. They've already said that they're going to investigate anyone who has been a key loyalist to Trump. They're going to impeach him again. All of that has been stated openly by the Democrats if they should regain power.
And you were saying earlier that, you know, if it were to be Lee Zeldin, perhaps, or someone who really understands D.C., is that a reason why, you know, President Trump has always liked sort of outsiders, people who sort of are against the old D.C. establishment, but moving into the next stage, is it because someone would understand D.C.? Does that seem like a really important connection to have?
I think it is a good connection because even if the Republicans keep the House, it's going to be razor close, and things are going to get even more aggressive. Zeldin is someone, and I've had the pleasure of meeting him, and I've seen him work in the Congress. He is someone who you just cannot fluster. I mean, it's like just a flat signal coming off that EKG. I mean, he does not really, you know, you don't get him to jump. He's someone who is a very steady hand on the wheel. He's outcome oriented. At EPA, he really sank every shot at EPA. He has had an incredibly successful run there. And I think that the president tends to look at figures like that and ask, I wonder how I can get him to a position to gain even more from his talents. Once again, that's not necessarily a condemnation of Bondi, because I just can't imagine that the president is critical of.
Uh-oh, I clicked the wrong button. But I've done that recently a lot, so, you know, got to do what I can do to, you know, fix it when it happens. So we're going to have to pause again.
He's letting his
There we go.
work speak for itself.
So it's interesting because, yeah, Bondi's going to the private sector. We all thought that was going to be a newly created position within the executive branch. And I think it could be because she'll be more effective in the private sector in whatever this new role is going to be. So there's that. But I think when it was time to start making these nominations, President Trump looked at Blanche specifically, because that's who this article is about, said, you know, I like you. You did amazing things for me as my personal attorney in all these criminal cases that were brought. You did a great job, and I would love to make you AG, reward you for all your hard work and loyalty. Because that's what some of these appointments absolutely are. That's how it always works with presidencies, right? But it comes down to the confirmation process. Can this person pass a Senate confirmation? Todd Blanche, not being a DC establishment lawyer or a U.S. attorney or a judge or somebody who is steeped in that side of the situation, it's a much more difficult challenge. We saw what happened with Matt Gaetz, right? He was an actual attorney. He didn't work as a prosecutor. He didn't do anything in that regard. He was a private sector attorney, and then he went into Congress. And even he faced a lot of backlash, criticism for being nominated or being potentially nominated, and they had to yank that nomination and say, okay, well, we're going to go with Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi was infinitely easier to confirm, so that's the way it went. But remember, Todd Blanche, the assistant AG, also has to get confirmed by the Senate too. It's a much easier process because, he's still got somebody over him that is actually in charge. But as assistant AG, working under Bondi, doing the good job that he needed to do, and then stepping up into this interim role for the time being, has shown and demonstrated all the good reasons why, hey, you should confirm me. And it puts him in a good light. And I think that's why it's now he is being chosen for this role. You know, Trump could have gone with other more practiced people, but he says, Todd, you've been loyal, and I'm going to give you this thing. I'm going to give it to you because you have been loyal and you have earned it. Here you go. And I think it's a great thing. But let's actually read this, because there's commentary that matters. And you know what? We got to read the story still. President Donald Trump said Wednesday evening that he plans to nominate acting AG Todd Blanche to permanently lead the Department of Justice. In a video posted to social media by the White House Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino, Trump can be seen announcing that he will nominate Blanche for the position after he assumed the role of an interim basis, following former AG Pam Bondi's firing in early April. Tomorrow, I'm instructing Dan Scavino and everybody else that's involved in that very complicated process, which is going to go, I think, very quickly, that we are going to make him permanently AG, Trump said in a video, which was recorded during the Rose Garden Club dinner on Wednesday evening at the White House. Trump's comments came after he signaled during an interview on Podforce One podcast released Wednesday that Blanche was likely to receive the nomination. When host Miranda Devine asked whether Blanche would become Attorney General, Trump replied, I think he will. That's fair. That's fair. I think it's a good move. I think it's a good move for Trump to make. Trump also said he was not actively considering other candidates and praised Blanche's performance since taking over the role. He's getting a great job done. He's doing a good job. Ultimately, that's what speaks to Trump. Are you doing a good job in what you're doing? And yes, as an interim AG, he's pursuing cases. He's actually getting things done. And I think that speaks volumes about his character, about his commitment, about what he thinks of Donald Trump. And that is what gets you there. I wanted to see how he's received, Trump said. You know, we put him as acting and he's done a very good job. I've known him a long time. CNN was first to report Wednesday evening that Trump was expected to move forward with the nomination of Blanche. When reached for comment, the White House praised Blanche but stopped short of formally confirming the nomination. President Trump has a great relationship with acting Attorney General Todd Blanche and is very pleased with the job he's doing so far, White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson said in a statement to Fox News Digital. Todd Blanche is an American patriot who fearlessly fought against the Democrats' unprecedented lawfare campaign on behalf of President Trump. Jackson added, the president's entire team of the Department of Justice is doing a great job advocating for sanity, law, and order, and policies that keep Americans safe. If nominated, Blanche would need to be confirmed by the Senate. He was confirmed as the Justice Department's second in command in 2025 by a party line vote of 52 to 46. There is no reason to think that he won't get the same level of support. There is no reason to think he won't get at least that 52 to 46 vote again. I actually think it should be higher. You've seen his track record. You've seen his effectiveness. I think he will do better. Simple as that. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you see coming out of the Attorney General's office and the Justice Department since Blanche has taken over the acting role that's really made you go, okay, this could be my guy? Do you see anything? Do you see what he's doing? Go, no, you just ain't it. I don't trust this guy. What are your thoughts? Either let me know in the chat or put it in the comments below. Comments below are huge. Make that a thing. Because Rumble has told us. Rumble has told us that comments engagement, repost engagement, and your general chat and the likes obviously have always been part of the calculation. But these things are what's going to get you promoted within Rumble itself. Rumble is actively trying to put these podcasts, these streams out there for people to see. They got to know people want to see them. They've got to know people are engaging and want to see these things. So let's make it happen. If you like what you see here, if you're enjoying what I'm doing, go ahead and do those free things. You know, I like your Rumble rants. I like your super chats. I like those things. They're great. I love them. But I want Rumble's money. I want their money, not yours. That's the way I work. That's the way I'm going to do it. They've got plenty of it. They've got plenty of money, and they can give me some of it. So let's make it happen. Guys, let's keep going. Holy crap, we're graced by a celebrity. We're graced by celebrity Joey Cannoli. How's it going, Joey? How's it going, man? How's it going? I offered to come play Repo with you later, and then I got told no by Never. I almost cried a little bit, and then I realized he's not in charge. At first look inside the $850 million Obama Presidential Center. They got it's a video, but it's not a video. I think it's promotional. Look at that ugly thing. Look at that ugly building. It's a museum. Oh, wow. Look at that. $850 million for that. $850 million for that. Neurodivergent one, welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's read this article. At the top of the Obama Presidential Center and its sunlit sky room is where you're meant to take it all in. The panoramic views are impressive, surrounding the campus of Chicago's south and west sides, as well as ultramarine Lake Michigan. But more than that, it's a moment to pause after scaling several floors of history and Barack Obama's political legacy. Not too distant memories for many. Overhead, a monumental artwork by the artist Idris Khan gives the illusion of continued ascent. Words from President Obama's famed remarks in Selma, Alabama are stamped and overlapping, sloping upwards as a swath of blue until they reach a rim of light. In Selma and elsewhere, the former president often spoke about collectively shaping destiny, and that seems to be the final note as you climb up through the museum. The unwritten, wide open future. On June 19th, coinciding with Juneteenth, the highly anticipated center will finally open to the public. It's been in the works for more than a decade and cost $850 million to build, a number that kept growing, becoming by far the most expensive presidential library in history. Now, a couple of things stood out in this article. One, the building is ugly as sin. I mean, Mother Topia, you've got it correct. It looks like the Borg. It looks terrible. But hey, I'm not known for my artistic genius, so you know what? Fine. I can respect somebody thought it looked good. I think they're crazy, but I can respect that they thought it did. But something stood out here. They're opening it on June 19th to coincide with Juneteenth. I wonder why they would do that. I wonder why they would do that. Huh. As if to say suddenly Obama was the one responsible for Juneteenth becoming a thing. And then it got me thinking, well, Juneteenth is just a bit of a lie. Juneteenth is a lie. That's right. Juneteenth is a lie. And I went over to Perplexity because thanks to Yankee Free, I use Perplexity now. And, I asked it a couple questions, and I had to ask a couple times and in a couple different ways. So my first question was, what day was slavery abolished in the United States? And it gives me the reply that I sadly expected it to give, and I knew it was going to give. Slavery was formally abolished in the United States on December 6, 1865, when the 13th Amendment was ratified. Well, that's when the amendment came into place, but I mean, it was abolished a bit before that, so that took me by surprise. But then the follow-up was a related date is June 19th, 1865, Juneteenth, when freedom was announced in Texas. But that was not the constitutional end of slavery nationwide. Now, understandably, I've asked a fairly open-ended question, so I didn't really say, was it the constitutional end? What was the actual end of it? So I had to drill down a little bit. I then asked, now that answer seems odd. How was it announced in Texas prior to it being officially abolished? Now I'm trying to trap it. I'm trying to trap AI into giving me a terrible answer because I knew what it was going to do. And that goes in to say it was announced in Texas before it was officially abolished nationwide because of the announcement in the legal abolition was different events. In Texas, Union General Gordon Granger issued the General Order Number 3 in Galveston on June 19th, 1865, which informed enslaved people that they were free under the Emancipation Proclamation, even though the 13th Amendment had not yet been ratified. But wait a minute. The announcement isn't saying that they were freed on June 19th. It said quite literally in this first statement, they were free under the Emancipation Proclamation. The key point being the Emancipation Proclamation declared freedom from Confederate-held areas during the Civil War. Well, wait a minute. Something still isn't adding up. So why is Juneteenth still the day, right? Why is that still the day? So I asked, I go, well, were they unaware of the Emancipation Proclamation in 1965? And this is my fault. I did say 1965, by the way. Not exactly. They were not unaware of the Emancipation Proclamation in a general sense by 1865. But in Texas, it had not been effectively enforced for most enslaved people. Well, that sounds like a skills issue to me. But hey, fine, it wasn't. So the issue was less nobody heard of it, more that the freedom promise had not been delivered on the ground in Texas. There's a whole big war. I mean, the things take time in wartime. I get that. But then Perplexity decides to give me a little bit of lip here, and he goes, and I also wrote 1965, but the historical year was 1865. Okay, my bad. I own that. But then I had a follow-up question. And this is where AI kind of annoys me. It didn't want me to ask the follow-up question in this particular thread, so it forked it on me. And then it made it harder for me to find the original questions because I wanted this context for you guys to see. So I said, well, you started with confusing dates. I had to punch back. It started confusing me with the dates, but it was all in an effort to get to here. Perplexity admits, I was right. It mixed up the dates, which is true. The correct timeline is 1863, 2 years before Juneteenth, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. This was the date slaves were freed. Whether they knew about it, whether states complied with it or not, is an entirely different situation, but they were freed. But we're not celebrating the Emancipation Proclamation here. We didn't make the Emancipation Proclamation the national holiday. No, we chose Juneteenth. The date 2 years after the fact where somebody's said, hey, guys, this screwed for a couple of years. And you've all been screwed under this for this long, but hey, you're free. And then Congress did the ratification process, you know, because there was a lot of questions around that for legal purposes. And that happened 6 months later. So it's really, we're celebrating the announcement 2 years after the fact that it happened. And that's cause for celebration, guys. That is the cause for celebration, apparently. But now I've gone down this weird rabbit hole because, just like I said, things are weird, but made the Obama Museum, Presidential Library, open on Juneteenth. Why? Just because he happens to be a black man. Just because he happens to be a black man. That's because it's not just a single building. Instead, it's an entire campus designed by the architects Todd Williams and Billy Cian, and featuring 28 new site-specific installations from some of the most important artists today. The design shifts the traditional concept of an archival presidential library into a sprawling 19.3-acre campus that offers a museum, community events, a fruit and vegetable garden, NBA regulation-sized basketball court, and a new branch of the Chicago Public Library. Well, I mean, the new branch of the library was going to be a thing because it's how the presidential libraries work. I mean, that's their purpose. But what I find interesting, it's that little jab. It's that little jab because so many people give him so much crap for renovating the tennis courts on the White House grounds into a basketball court. And then he's like, ha ha ha, I'm going to stick it to these guys. We're going to make an NBA regulation sized court at our library. Because that's the only thing black people can do, apparently. Just play basketball. That's the only thing they can do. So we have to really just play that joke out. In the lead up, the former president has done a promotional gauntlet, playing Wordle with Stephen Colbert, squashing his beef with NBA star Anthony Edwards for now, and wishing folks a happy Star Wars Day alongside Mark Hamill, who played late Luke Skywalker. Wait, you honestly had to... They actually had to say Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, guys. They had to say it in front of the center, and perhaps a sly response to one of his nicknames, the Death Star. The museum's weighty granite design has also been called Obamalisk. You know what? That's gonna stick. That's gonna stick. Sometimes disparagingly, oftentimes fondly. No, it's gonna be a disparaging name forever. Killing Intense, what do you say? Should we do that thing the left does? Be a shame if someone blew that up. Oh no, we can't do that. Killing Intense, we can't do that. You can't do that. Wouldn't want anyone to damage that property. All right, who's gonna do it? Someone has to, not me. I can't do it. You know what? We can't put that out there. I cannot, in good conscience, allow you to put that out there because some idiot is gonna try. And then somebody's gonna say, "Oh, well, look, there's video of this showing that." No, I'm against this. We're gonna tamp that down right now. No. CNN got an early look at the center this week during its soft opening period as it welcomed community members as its first guests. Already, the campus bustled with activity, even as final construction, landscaping, and art installations continued. School kids arrived on field trips and grounds lined up for exhibitions, taking the escalators up past the abstract artist Julie Marutu's vibrant 83-foot-tall vertical window. Now, here's something funny, right? They call it a soft opening, but they got all these activities. They got CNN coming. They've got people just milling about. They've got school field trips set up for this. But it's just a soft opening. It's just a soft opening. Because we can't say it's officially open. Because, God, why would you do that? CNN said it had been an emotional watch to watch visitors fill the campus. You have a sense when people walk in, they look up and feel like it belongs to them, like it's theirs, she said during an interview at the center's forum building. You know what? I'm going to move in, and I'm just going to become a squatter. That's what I'm going to do. And then it will be mine. We all know that got to protect the squatters' rights, right? Despite the colorful comparisons, William and CN based the museum's shape on a visual of 4 hands coming together, promoting the idea that many hands shape a place, according to the center. I don't care about the names, William said. I think we only care about what it is and what it does and what will be the future. So, yeah, 4 hands coming together, and this is for to celebrate and honor the man who said, I got a pen and I got a phone. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that's what he said. That doesn't sound like hands coming together. That was literally saying, if I can't get you to agree with me, I'm going to do what I want anyway, because I'm just going to make it happen. We think of it as a 500-year building. Every decision that was made was really about making something that felt lasting and timeless, CN added. I hope that when people come to the center, they come with an open heart about the future of democracy, collective imagining, collective storytelling, and collective belief. They're getting you ready for communism. It's all about the collective, guys. It's all about the collective. That's the quote that CNN went with. That is the quote CNN went with, guys. Pay attention to that. It's all about the collective. Never mind they said democracy in it, because the future of democracy isn't democracy. The future of democracy to them is communism. It's all about the collective. It's all about the collective. Understand what they're saying, what they're telling you, what they're putting in front of you right now. Whatever you see in the brutalist-esque building, the center is poised to become a major cultural institution and destination, breaking with tradition. It's also run privately by the nonprofit Obama Foundation instead of the National Archives and Records Administration. The Presidential Archive itself, run by NARA, will be made fully digital for the first time, which meant digitizing some 30 million pages for the Obama Foundation. Parts of the archive are on display at the museum. Guess we'll wait until Democrats get in charge and tax all the billionaires and millionaires to oblivion, and they can't afford those property taxes anymore and become the housing for immigrants. I mean, fair. That's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. Not all of these changes, nor the price tag, have been embraced. There have been ongoing concerns about its impact on gentrification on the south side, and the location itself was in dispute as well. It's embedded within the city's historic Jackson Park, a decision that was met with legal battles as an environmental group sued the city of Chicago for allowing a private project to be built on public land. The lawsuit was eventually dismissed. And yet, we just read an article, 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe? 3 or 4 weeks ago, about a similar happening with the Trump Presidential Library. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. Though the center added a total of 3.7 acres to the park, parts of it also fell victim to the construction, including the removal of hundreds of trees and its historic women's garden from 1930s. Obama's a misogynist. He had to take down a woman's garden to the library. Well, let's make that the narrative. Obama the misogynist. Erasing women. There we go. That's what it is. He's erasing historic women's accomplishments, which was demolished but has been reimagined for the new campus. Well, that's all you got to do. That's the Obama legacy. We're reimagining everything. You don't know what a woman is. We're just going to reimagine your history into our vision. Welcome to the collective. In a presentation at the center on Wednesday, Obama Foundation CEO Valerie Jarrett emphasized the outdoor recreational opportunities they've offered from the start, with an athletic field built before the main plazas and buildings, as well as the gardens and other green spaces, including a sledding hill that they've cultivated since. We've had thousands of community meetings to ensure that this campus was going to blend into the urban fabric, that the people who live proximate to its center would feel the sense of ownership and participate with us in developing plans for it, she said. Inside the museum, there are exhibitions dedicated to the former president's political legacy, the former first lady's public initiatives, and historical movements such as civil rights and women's suffrage. So you just plowed over a women's historical garden, and you're making up for it by, putting a women's suffrage piece in your library. Is that what I'm reading? That shaped them both. Displays on how campaign ephemera and memorabilia, from Shepard Fairey's iconic Hope poster to children's drawings. A video that follows the grassroots effort of the 2008 election cycle counts down to the transformative political moment with campaign trail footage capturing the efforts of volunteers. Bach, welcome in. Man, I'm just really in that knife deep for Killing It Tense, because I didn't really actually say hi to him. I didn't say hi to him when he was here first, guys. He was here first. And he did the right things. He said hi, and I didn't do it. But I've called out everyone else. I've said hi to everybody else. And I'm gonna take my lashes out back afterwards, but I do apologize. He is a solid supporter, and I can't ignore that. But visitors will also see how the Obamas influenced design, style, and culture. That includes some of Michelle Obama's iconic looks, such as the greenish gold coat and the dress designed for her by the late Isabel Toledo on Inauguration Day 2009, and the gown she wore designed by Michelle Smith and of the label Millie as she sat for Amy Sherald's painting in the National Portrait Gallery. Not included was the former president's equally iconic tan suit, which Jarrett says he gave away. Remember that tan suit was the only what was it, the only scandal was he wore a tan suit. Get out of here with that nonsense. That was not your only scandal. First and foremost, it wasn't a scandal, but that was not the scandal we all remembered. There were several. Scandal free my ass. There's also a full-scale replica of the Oval Office where visitors can sit at the desk. While Obama is not the first to feature a replica of this kind in a presidential library, with George W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, and Jimmy Carter, among others, following the tradition, it does not stand out at a time when today's Oval Office has dramatically shifted in taste and style. It's gone from understated and to overgilded during the Trump presidency. They had to get that dig, and they had to do it. I don't see what is wrong with Trump's Oval Office. There's nothing wrong with it. It gets remade, literally gets remade every presidential whatever. It's remodeled every time. When the room was still under construction, the former White House interior designer Michael Smith got teary-eyed at first glimpse of it in March in a video posted by the Obama Foundation. I did not think that would be emotional, he said, pausing to take it in. Oh my God, it's the Oval Office. Across the campus, 30 artists have created an array of site-specific permanent works on a scale that would be even challenging for a leading contemporary art institution. That means nobody else was buying your work. Curated by the former Arts and Embassies Deputy Director Virginia Shore, the collection brings both leading lesser-known contemporary artists in conversation with each other, many with deep connections to Chicago. Numerous works are on a grand scale, including Mark Bradford's enormous tactile painting of the city, Nick Cave and Marie Watts' nearly two-story beaded and jingle-adorned tapestry, and Martin Puryear's arcing outdoor sculpture paying tribute to Martin Luther King Jr. I'm looking for a Hunter Biden painting. Can you put a Hunter Biden painting up there? I totally think you should put a Hunter Biden painting up there. It deserves to be among all these great works. Hunter Biden was an artist of renowned skill. He deserves to be in the Obama Library. Others are more serendipitous encounters, such as Richard Hunt's sculpture of a bird taking flight from a book in a quiet courtyard by the library, or a mosaic by Rashid Johnson at the center's teaching kitchen next to a fruit and vegetable garden. Good evening, Cass. How you doing? Are you going to go to the new Obama library? Are you going to the Obama library, Cass? You're closer than I am. I think you should go. You should take a field trip there and capture that footage for us and share it. That's what you should do. The artist, the Astor Gates, who has been paid tribute to Black life and Black beauty at the Center's Forum building with a fires of archival images from Ebony and Jet magazines. It is also a neighbor to the center with his cultural revitalization project through the Rebuild Foundation. In an exclusive interview late last year, he told CNN, "I hope that when people come to the center, they come with an open heart about our future of democracy, collective imagination, collective storytelling, and collective belief." That's right. It's all about the collective. We are Borg. You will be assimilated. It's all communism. This is what they're doing. But look at that. All this collection right here. Look at that. Look at that. And they did get the tan. Oh, no, wait. That's wood paneling. Never mind. Together, the artists really help to tell a story about the community, about the convening, about the power of art to activate and energize people, said the museum director, Louise Bernard. This has been an opportunity for them to really lift up a sense of hope that is embedded in their work. So we see pieces that are truly captivating in their sensibility, she added. They are about the power and place of Chicago. They're about the idea of different voices and practices coming together. They're about memory and place and power of color to transport people. Now, I glossed over the picture earlier. I swear there's that. Look at that monstrosity. Look at it. Look at it. Fuck the library. That's what I say. I mean, I agree. I agree. It of all the possible designs that could have been submitted, this is what won. This is what won the bidding war. Anyway, I saw this article and I had to choose it. I had to choose it. But I had to choose it because I wanted to tell you about this one. Critics say adding Trump's arch to DC would take something away. The View. This won't take away the View, though. Trump's arch takes away the View from DC. So I don't know what view you're taking away in the DC skyline with a 252-foot arch. I mean, is it you're at Arlington House taking the view away from the Lincoln Memorial, or you're at the Memorial taking the view away from the Arlington House? I don't know. A century ago, as lawmakers and architects mulled where to put a new memorial to the late President Abraham Lincoln, one location stood apart, the western edge of the National Mall, on what was then the marshy mudflats of the Potomac River. The site stands on the same axis as the U.S. Capitol and Washington Monument, forming a straight line between the government, the president who founded it, and the president credited with saving it. And it is directly across the river from Virginia's Arlington House, the former home of Confederate General Robert E. Lee, that sits on the grounds of Arlington National Cemetery. None of that is coincidence. Cyber. You got to switch your attention. Okay, that's fine. You already left then, apparently. No, that's fine. Cyber is over on YouTube, by the way, for anyone not paying attention. I am streaming on YouTube tonight. I'm doing it on X. I'm doing it on Blaze. I'm doing it on VP Zone as well. Follow me in all those places. You can find me at the Quiet Part Pod. It's not just the memorials themselves that have meaning, but the relationship spatially between different memorials carries a symbolic meaning, says Neil Flanagan, an architect and public historian in DC. The Potomac River was the border between the North and the South, nominally during the Civil War. It's literally crossing the border and trying to heal those wounds. Well, is that not what Trump's doing as president? He's trying to heal those wounds. He's trying to bring us together as a nation. You just won't let him. Smack dab in the middle of this stretch, inside the traffic circle on Virginia's side of the bridge, where President Trump wants to build his triumphal arch. The proposed structure would be 250 feet tall, more than double the height of the Lincoln Memorial. And that's concerning to preservationists and members of the public who expressed opposition to the project at every turn, in large part because it would obstruct this significant line of sight. I disagree. They don't care if it's obstructing anything. It's something Trump wants to do, and they say no. They do not care that it's blocking the line of sight. They don't consider that as part of their calculation and disliking it. Trump wanted it, and they're against it. That's all that matters to them. They justify it however they feel like justifying it. Someone was sitting in a group meeting one day and said, you know what? This is the reason I don't like it. And they're like, yeah, that's the one we're going to go with. It is ridiculous. It's Donald Trump bad. We must hate the thing. The connection of the Lincoln Memorial, representing Lincoln himself, to the home of the leader of the Confederate Army, Robert E. Lee, was designed to help heal the wounds of the war that tore apart the nation. To disrupt this view would disrupt this reconciliation, said architectural historian Allison Hoagland, one of several concerned speakers at the Commission of Fine Arts May meeting. What's wrong with this? I still don't get it. I think it's perfectly acceptable. The Commission, an independent federal agency that advises on plans for monuments, memorials, and federal buildings, is packed with Trump appointees. It speedily granted the design final approval in its last meeting. Despite unanswered questions about its sculptural finishes, the administration's dismissal of some of the panel's recommendations, and considerable public pushback. Well, here's the funny thing. It's an independent federal agency, has appointed advisors, and the federal government can either choose to follow what it wants to do or not. In this case, Trump, as part of the executive, said, yeah, we're going to go with that. We like that. We want to do this. When asked about the arches obstructing the vista, White House spokesperson David Engel told NPR on Wednesday that it will be one of the most iconic landmarks, not only in Washington, D.C., but throughout the world. And if you know anything about Donald Trump, that is his thing. You know what? He wants his name plastered everywhere. That is acceptable. It is his mark on the world that matters. It will enhance the visitor experience at Arlington National Cemetery for veterans, the families of the fallen, and all Americans alike, serving as a visual reminder of the noble sacrifices borne by so many American heroes throughout our 250-year history, so we can enjoy our freedoms today, Engel wrote. But the project still has more legal and procedural hurdles to clear, including a lawsuit by Vietnam War veterans who say it disrespects those buried at the cemetery and requires congressional authorization. Democrats agree, though Trump has said we don't need anything from Congress. We don't need anything from Congress. The arch took another small step forward on Thursday when the National Capital Planning Commission voted 9-1 to advance the proposal to the next stage of consideration. The Federal Urban Planning Agency's 3 Trump-appointed members included Chair Will Sheriff, who also serves as presidential staff secretary. Thursday's meeting featured more than 2 hours of impassioned public comments from preservationists, veterans, architects, and residents opposed to the arch. They're not opposed to the arch. They're opposed to Donald Trump. Opposed to Donald Trump is not opposed to the arch. Make sure you understand this. They, like many of the nearly 1,700 who submitted written comments ahead of the meeting, cited a range of concerns, including public safety for cars, pedestrians, and incoming flights at Reagan-Washington National Airport. Just 3,000 feet away, the structure's scale, tone, and proximity to the cemetery, and the loss of historic view line. See, again, they're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. They don't have a single argument that actually makes sense. The National Mall, George Washington Memorial Parkway, and Arlington Cemetery are among the most visited and most revered public landscapes in the United States, says Edward Sterley with the National Parks Conservation Association. They are products of generations of deliberate planning, legal process, and public stewardship. They deserve protection, not transformation. Well, Donald Trump wanted to remake the reflection pools, right? Because they were in disrepair. And you were against that. You have no argument. You're not willing to do the upkeep necessary on any of this stuff. You don't want anything that isn't exactly what everybody's done forever. Donald Trump wants to make it a wonderful place. He wants to make it a beautiful place again. A place that you actually want to take your kids on a field trip to. And yes, the arch, you can call it gaudy. You can call it self-aggrandization. I don't care. It does not matter to me. This is something that will be beautiful. We do not have a preservation society or conservation society on our cities. There's nothing that says the skyline must remain this forever. So get out of here with your view nonsense. Commission members made clear that they were voting in favor of starting a conversation, though several were openly skeptical. All three Trump appointees embraced the concept, while several other commission members seemed more skeptical. Trump has framed the arch as a celebration of the nation's upcoming 250th anniversary, though he said in October that it was intended to honor me. Hey, if he doesn't honor himself, who's going to? Who's going to? It's one of a number of physical changes he wants to make to DC. Alongside a new White House ballroom, yes, resurfaced reflecting pool, and a renovated Kennedy Center. All things I agree with. Why let things like this fall into disrepair? Why keep them as they've always been? Let's modernize, let's upgrade, let's make them something that we're proud of. Once again. Truth Sanity, how you doing? Welcome. Welcome in. How you doing? On Thursday afternoon, while the commission was hearing about the arch, Trump announced a new project in the same area, a pedestrian bridge that will connect the Lincoln Memorial to the Potomac River. And I bet people are going to be mad about that. It should be a driving bridge, they'll say. We're going to call it the promenade or promenade. They want to call it the Trump promenade, but I don't know if we want to do that. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful project, he told reporters gathered at the Oval Office. I think he's trolling people at this point. On Thursday, commissioners thanked the public for their comments and seemed to share many of their questions about details large and small, from how the arch would be lit to whether it would interfere with the average 30 funeral procession the cemetery holds each day. I'm really struck by the width and depth of the comments that we heard. The number of people who are interested in this for all kinds of reasons, not just design, but functionality, appropriateness, all kinds of things, Commissioner Linda Argo said at the end of the discussion period. One major unanswered question concerns the federal height of Buildings Act, which generally caps structures at 130 feet on commercial streets. The commission has historically applied the act to all federal projects, but Scharf opened the meeting by suggesting it might not apply to the arch. There's nothing about the presentation today or the action requested of this commission today that requires us to fully consider this weighty issue at this time. But I did want to preview that. So by the time this project comes back to us for preliminary and final approval, we will have more guidance on this issue. The commission's preliminary approval allows it to request more information, including the status of several historic preservation and environmental reviews that are required by federal law that had not yet been publicly announced. The team working on the arch said one of those in the Section 106 review required by the National Historic Preservation Act will begin on Friday. I hope it is a walking bridge. Too many people think they know how to drive these days. Let's find out who can walk. Walk. One away. Let's go. Smash that damn like button. Tap it. What? Huh? How many do we got? Oh, I am one away from 700. Technically, I'm at like 725 gas. Because there's people that are following me directly and not the channel. So, I mean, I'm technically at 725, but on the screen it's 1. And as you can see, I fixed the meters. I fixed the meters today. You should be proud of me. The commission is asking the project team to come back with more specifics, including about stormwater management, lighting plans, site materials, and views from additional vantage points. The data from studies says it is undertaking with agencies like the Federal Aviation Administration and Department of Transportation. The commission's next monthly meeting is scheduled for July 9th before it takes August off. In the early 1900s, a Senate commission set out to improve the design and appearance of Washington, D.C.'s National Mall, which at that point was a patchwork of brick Victorian buildings and scattershot public parks, crisscrossed by train tracks from a nearby train station. The Macmillan Plan of 1902 came after the senator who spearheaded it laid out a comprehensive vision for the monumental core and park system of the nation's capital. It included a return to the grand tree-lined promenade conceptualized by the architect Pierre Charles L'Enfant when he first designed the city's layout in 1791 and identified sites for some major additions, including the long-discussed Lincoln Memorial and Arlington Memorial Bridge. The Macmillan Plan was never formally adopted, in part because its namesake died at the year it came out, but bits and pieces were implemented gradually. The Lincoln Memorial officially opened in 1922 after 8 years of construction and roughly half a century after Congress authorized it. The bridge opened to traffic a decade later. Arlington Memorial Bridge was intentionally designed with a low profile to respect the visuals and symbolic vistas connecting the National Mall and Arlington National Cemetery. Elizabeth Merritt, Deputy General Counsel at the National Trust for Historic Preservation, told the Commission for Fine Arts in May, calling it one of the most symbolic landscape vistas in Washington, D.C. Yes, do all those things. I don't recommend licking the tap button though. I don't recommend licking the like button. I'm just saying, tap it, caress it, do a lot of things to it. I wouldn't lick it though. That's just weird. That's all I gotta say. That's just weird. Don't lick it. Typos. The Virginia side of the 2,100-foot long bridge is dotted with informational plaques about the vista and the bridge itself, describing it as memorial to the final triumph of the idea of the permanent and complete union. Those signs greet the cyclists, joggers, and cemetery visitors who use the bridge as sidewalks. The fine print may not be visible to the thousands of commuters who drive over it every day. The Department of Transportation estimated that number at 68,000 in 2020. But the view of the back of the Lincoln Memorial on the DC side and the main gate of Arlington National Cemetery at the bottom of the hills beneath Lee's house speak for itself. Karen Iglesias, it's a Karen, guys. It's a Karen! An adjunct professor at the University of Maryland School of Landscape Architecture says a shorter arch might be less obstructive, but not without its own drawbacks. If it were smaller, that would help, but you have to go back to what the hell is the purpose, she said, contrasting it with how Paris's Arc de Triomphe at 164 feet high very clearly commemorates the military victories of the French Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars. Critics don't just say the bridge is an appropriate site for the arch. Flanagan and the DC architect says this is really a really weird location to put anything. He says a nearly 19-story building with almost nothing inside is a strange use of the traffic circle. In addition to all public safety questions it raises, the architects behind the project have said it will include an observation deck, informational displays, and potentially a cafe and a gift shop. These are all things that are good. I mean, a cafe and a gift shop, pay for it. It'll take like 500 years, but pay for itself. If I were to do something with this space, I would really want to see it as a more of a holistic replanning of the memorial axis that includes trying to figure out how to move traffic and people around a little bit more easily, Flanagan said. When asked about criticisms of the arch, a spokesperson from the Department of the Interior told NPR that great nations build beautiful structures and works of art that cultivate national pride and love of country. Critics argue there are cheaper, better ways to celebrate the country's 250th anniversary than embarking on a structure that could take years to build and would permanently alter the city's landscape. That's the point. You can do things that are people-oriented without building something, Iglesias said, pointing to commemorative coins and July 4th net fireworks displays. Trump was planning on both of those things. You can celebrate it without turning it into as if the whole country is a cemetery and that had to be littered with physical records of something that ignores all of our problems. No, you build monuments to enjoy. Yes, celebrate this amazing accomplishment. 250 years with that arch. Absolutely do it. I mean, if we're okay with this, building in Chicago, then I don't want to hear you complain about the arch here. I don't want to hear you complaining about this. This actually looks like it would be a good thing. That does not look bad. It's a little bit tall. It's a little bit gaudy, sure. But I think it looks good. You're leading to something. You don't know what's behind it, but from this picture, I guess it's a rendering. I get that. But you're like, oh, what am I leading to? What am I heading towards? Yes, that's an entrance to something. That's an entrance to America's greatness. Let's accept that. Let's be proud of America for a change. I'm happy with, being proud of America. I don't know about you guys, but I'm proud of it. It's got some dark stains, but you know what? We can wash those off. We can clean that up. We're good with that. We'll fix it by making great structures again, making monuments to this country. Let's get it done. He hated women. Explosive abuse, new Nazi tattoo allegations, and exes rock Platner's campaign. Lindsay Byfield says the veteran and oyster farmer would sharpen an axe while ruminating about assaulting home invaders. This is wild, by the way. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but we're going to play this video for a couple minutes. I'll speed it up, though. This is wild accusations, mind you.
Concern among Democrats after D.C. meetings with Graham Platner, the Maine Senate candidate. It's illogical, I guess, to assume that there may be more shoes to drop. He said that they...
What? No, that's not what I wanted. No. What happened? Stop. I swear I didn't do it. I didn't want to go full screen.
Among Democrats after D.C. meetings with Graham Platner, the Maine Senate candidate. It's illogical, I guess, to assume that there may be more shoes to drop. He said that he was asked about this by Senator Bernie Sanders, and I'm sure others as well, whether there were more allegations to come. And he said, no, there's no credible new allegations, were roughly the Senate candidate's words, that from the Wall Street Journal reporting. So with that, we bring in California Congressman, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna, who's campaigning with Platner tomorrow in Maine and serves on the Oversight and Armed Services Committee. Good to have you here, sir. Thank you very much for joining us, Congressman.
Thank you, Martha, for having me back on.
So how do you feel about all this? We hear sort of tempered support from some Democrats, all in on others. How do you feel about this as you head up to Maine? Are you concerned?
Well, Martha, as you know, I led the fight against the Epstein class with Thomas Massie. I take sexual abuse, sexual assault very seriously, particularly against minors. So far, everything that has come out is a private matter between Graham Platner and his wife. Where I draw the line is if there are any credible allegations of abuse or assault or domestic violence. But the reason I'm supporting Graham Platner is because he's taking on the unfair and lopsided economy, saying that too few billionaires have a lot of the wealth and power and that we need to really stand for the working class.
All right, so just to be clear, if you were to learn, and I know, this photo that everyone's seen, which is everywhere, of him in the towel, as I understand it, that's from the Kick social media website, which is mostly teenagers that are on that. Did you ask him about that issue? Why he's posting those pictures on a social media platform that is mostly teens and young people?
I did ask if there were any credible allegations of assault, of domestic violence, of rape, of having any inappropriate relationship with a minor, and I made it clear that for me is a red line, and he said no, there is not. Now, obviously, he had texts that were allegedly consensual, and while he was married, and that's a matter for him and his wife came out and said that she forgave him, and so that is a different matter for me than abuse or assault or what
it's a very
people
different
did in the
matter.
Epstein files.
I think most people would agree there's a line there between those two things, absolutely. But what disturbs some people is, this Nazi associated tattoo, which he removed. Here's Hugh Hewitt on why. Watch this.
The Democratic Party is deeply infected with anti-Semitism. Not anti-Israel sentiment, not anti-Zionism, anti-Semitism. And it's like a sepsis. It's either going to kill the Democratic Party or it's going to kill the United States.
What's your reaction to that, Congressman?
First of all, I don't like the politicization of anti-Semitism. There's anti-Semitism, as you know, Martha, and would acknowledge, on the far right. And there's, of course, anti-Semitism and extremism on the left. And I unambiguously condemn anti-Semitism. Now, the Nazi tattoo was something that he owned up to. He said it was a mistake. He did it when he was signing up to serve this country in the military. And I guess I have a view of redemption. And he has unequivocally owned up to it, said that it was wrong, that he learned from it. And the question is, are we going to believe in redemption and people being flawed and then having a chance to move on?
Okay. With regard to the candidate that you're also supporting in New Jersey, Hamawi in New Jersey.
I'm not much done with it. The game. Remember, when Pete Hegseth was announced as Department of Defense head, or Department of War, as we're calling it now, look at his tattoos. All of it normal tattoos, Christian iconography, and he was the worst person ever. Oh my God. Pete Hegseth is the worst person ever with all these Christian tattoos. And they're defending this guy who had a very clearly made Nazi tattoo. He got in Croatia, where you had to go to a very, very specific location to get that tattoo, because in Croatia, all Nazi iconography had been banned for tattoo parlors. You had to go to a special tattoo shop to get that done. And he claimed he was a history buff. World War II history, of all things. He knew exactly what that tattoo was. I'm not buying that. I'm sorry, I didn't know. And I'm learning from this. I'm not buying that. If you had thought about it and you really were remorseful, you would have had it removed long before your campaign existed. Those pictures would not be surfacing. I don't buy this garbage. They don't care. It reminds me of when all I had was talk radio. So happy I found podcast. Yeah. Hugh Hewitt, kind of lame then. Yeah. Look. I pulled up Killing Intense's comment. I think all racists should get Nazi tattoos and need to know who I'm talking to. Yeah, I mean, remember the movie Inglourious Bastards? Remember Inglourious Bastards? You know what? What are you going to do when this war is done? I'm going to go take this uniform off. I'm going to burn it. And that was a problem, because you can take the uniform off and nobody's going to know that you supported that piece of shit. What you can't take off was effectively a tattoo. I mean, it was scarring, but it was effectively a tattoo of a swastika on your forehead, carved in. You can't get rid of that. It's an identifier. So that way, everybody for the rest of your life knows that you are this. I agree with that sentiment, Killing Intense. I agree with you 100%. I want to know who the shittiest people of society actually are. So that way, when I meet them and go, oh, you're one of them. Yeah, I'm immediately discounting everything you say, because it's got a very negative view of the world that I don't agree with. I'm going to discount what you say because everything is going to be colored by that. Because you somehow think you're superior just because of the color of your skin. I disagree with it. Whether you're a white person or a black person or an Asian person or a Hispanic person, I don't care. If you think you're superior simply because of where you were born, get out of here with that nonsense. Leave. We don't need you in our society. I'm not going to take you seriously. Some of Maine Democratic Senate candidate Graham Platner's ex-girlfriends spoke out in a damning report Thursday, which chronicled new allegations of rape fantasies, heavy drinking, and violent episodes. From what I'm hearing, these are fucking wild accusations, mind you. They are wild accusations. Now, the crazy thing is, just like when Brett Kavanaugh was nominated for Supreme Court, Donald Trump's allegations against him, I don't like, for the political campaign purposes of these allegations coming out when somebody decides to run for office, I don't like it. But oh my God, these reports are wild. They are just wild. Platner continues to be under fire for a chest tattoo called the Totenkopf, used by Nazi death camp guards, alleged sexting of younger women, and publicly finding humor in a Taliban attack that nearly killed former Pennsylvania Lieutenant Gubernatorial candidate Betty Daniels. One of his ex-girlfriends, Lindsay Fifield, told the New York Times the two met in 2013 when he was a George Washington University student, and she was with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce with a growing presence in conservative circles. She recounted how Platner would poke fun at his chest tattoo of a Totenkopf and told the paper that the Platner explained he and other members of his military unit chose it because of parallels between them and the Schutzstaffel, the SS, in that they were a death unit, killers, which appears to contradict his narrative that he did not know what the tattoo was. Interesting. She also recalled how the oyster farmer and veteran would sharpen an axe while watching television and ruminate about raping home invaders. I read that clearly and correctly, guys. He would sit there. He said this a lot. If anybody ever broke in here, I would rape them. That is a weird that's a weird statement. That's a whole lot of statement right there. That is a decision-making statement right there. 100%. You can sit there with a therapist, a psychologist, and a psychiatrist and examine that statement for however long you want. And that's just going to be weird. That's just going to be weird by itself. But when you go on to the explanation, not in a sexual or gay way, she said, adding that Platner stated he would want to instead impose dominance over them through penetration, and that he believed rape was about power. Yes, those are decisive words, people. Those are very decisive words. So, let me get this straight here. The parallels to the SS in that they were a death unit, killers. Okay. And then if anybody ever broke in here, I'm going to rape them. That's what he said. Those were his words. Apparently. Allegedly, those were his words. Because he wanted to dominate them. She also described a public encounter where Platner reportedly pulled her out of a taxi by her wrist during an altercation. Platner, who acknowledged his battle with post-traumatic stress disorder from his time in the military, told Fox News Digital that he has been open about what was a very dark period in my life where I struggled with undiagnosed PTSD. Well, I don't want you running for governor if you've got PTSD, to be perfectly honest. I mean, if this is how you lashed out previously throughout his campaign. I've been open about but was a very dark period in my life where I struggled with undiagnosed PTSD, too often self-medicated with alcohol, and was far from perfect boyfriend, Platner said in a statement. I take responsibility for all of that and wish I had been better. Any characterization beyond that is false and I believe politically motivated. I'm not proud of who I was then, but I am proud of the work I've done since and the movement we are building in Maine. She recounted another incident when Platner reportedly pushed her into a bedroom and held the door shut. She later was able to leave after falling asleep and waking after some time had passed. Beside the rape visualizations, Platner would fantasize about killing people he deemed a threat, according to the Times conversation with her, who briefly spoke with Fox News Digital on the phone but declined to further comment on the story. She added that in addition to the axe which he had from a prior work bushwhacking on the Appalachian Trail, Platner kept an AR-15 in his Capitol Hill home. The firearm type is currently prohibited in the District of Columbia, but that law is under legal challenge from the Trump Justice Department. It should be under, the AR-15 is a perfectly legal weapon to have. There's nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with the AR-15. I agree with him having that. I'm perfectly fine with him having that. I think he might be a little bit crazy, but hey, legally speaking, he's perfectly fine having that. Of her allegations, Platner's campaign pointed to her conservative-leaning politics and called her a lifelong GOP operative who's dedicated her career to electing Republicans. Okay. But she was dating this dude. So either she thought he was a manly man and was an actual Republican, or, she just set aside their differences because, there's no reason to let that come between, two people wanting to be happy. Intern Fifield, who previously worked at Heritage Foundation and briefly worked on Nikki Haley's presidential campaign, among other conservative jobs, said she is not affiliated with Senator Suzanne Collins of Maine. The 5-term incumbent Platner is challenging. Another woman, Jenny Rakiot, is a fellow Maine Democrat who was in an off-and-on relationship with Platner between 2019 and 2021. She told the paper of some of Platner's controversial Reddit posts, hardened her view that he had issues with women. I recognized a version of him that I had experiences with, she said. Another Maine Democrat who he dated declined to have her name published by the Times, said Platner would at times drink heavily and that her role in the relationship seemed like collateral damage to the world that is his. The Republican National Committee said the report appears to be nothing new in the cadence of scandals facing the Democrat challenger. Every day brings another deeply disturbing revelation about Graham Platner, spokesperson Delaney Bomer said. If he is willing to do this to his own girlfriend, imagine what he's willing to do in a position of political power. Maine voters deserve to know why Democrats are willing to excuse this deranged behavior. If Chuck Schumer and National Democrats don't distance themselves from Platner, they'll be forced to answer for his behavior every day from now until Election Day, she continued. Fox News Digital also reached out to Collins, Janet Mills, Senate Republicans campaign arm, Senate Democrats campaign arm, and Maine House Speaker Ryan whatever, I'm not going to try to say that, Old Orchard Breach, legislature's top Democrat, for comment. This needs to be out. This absolutely needs to be out there. He needs to answer for these things. The Democrats need to answer why they're defending this guy. They are so against Pete Hegseth for just having tattoos. They're trying to get him on drinking allegations. They're trying to get Cash Patel for drinking too much. They are trying to go after every Republican that could possibly be gone after for these very same allegations. But they're excusing this guy who has a very public history of this. It is hypocrisy. It is hypocrisy because he thinks Trump bad. And the video, Ro Khanna, oh my God. For a period of time, while I disagree with most of his policies, I consider him more of a centrist. But for him to defend this, and say, well, you can trust me because I led the charge on Epstein. Okay. That's why I should trust you when you're protecting this. Get out of here with that. You're not helping your cause. I want to know what everyone else knew. I want to know about this. I think the people of Maine deserve to know. This guy should probably not be a senator. He should probably be out of any chance of any power positions ever. This does not sound like somebody you want leading your state in any regard. But that's just me. Let me know what you guys think below. Video shows Pentagon counterterrorism hire clamoring through Capitol on January 6th. Elias Irizarry was filmed moving through restricted grounds and climbing through a broken window, according to the Washington Post analysis. All right, so this is that fella, apparently. I don't see his face, so I don't know how you're identifying him. A recent appointee to the sensitive counterterrorism job in the Defense Department was filmed for more than 5 minutes during the January 6, 2021 riot as he moved through the restricted grounds and climbed through a broken window, holding a metal pole to enter the U.S. Capitol, according to Washington Post analysis. The Post reported Tuesday that Elias Irizarry was 19 at the time of the attack, was hired to a post in the Pentagon Special Operations and Low Intensity Conflict Office. The team's portfolio includes operations such as embassy security, personnel recovery, and hostage rescue. Well, I mean, he knows how to break into a building, apparently. So that's exactly who you want protecting an embassy, right? Right? No, probably not. But more importantly, if he was a J6 defendant, as you're trying to make him out to be, he was also pardoned, which means he's eligible for any job. It means he's eligible for that job, which fine. You got nothing on him at that point. Irizarry pleaded guilty to the misdemeanor trespass charge, and it's a trespassing charge. Okay, it's a misdemeanor trespass. That doesn't preclude you from employment. Get out of here with this. I can agree and disagree in my thoughts. There is no list. If there was, it went away with Epstein. Who would say is okay? Here is all the victims I violate, rape, solid, etc. And all involved. I agree. No, I agree with you, Cass. I'm glad that Rocano led that charge, but for him to sit here and say that Graham Platner's an unimpeachable character based on situations he knows nothing about, just because you asked a dude, "Hey, what's going on here?" "No, we good, bro. We good," and that's all he needed. I'm sorry. That is completely different. That is completely different. And that's where I look at Rokon and go, no, you're not someone I'm going to trust at this point. Yes, you did a good thing, but I'm not going to trust you in this because you just said, trust me, bro. As well, I think he did blackmail and leverage, but I doubt he kept it in exile. Okay. Yeah. The Post confirmed Irizarry's presence in 5 videos by matching them with screenshots or photographs in court filings or with events described in those filings. In 2 other videos, clothing worn by Irizarry and his companions and their presence together made the identification possible. The videos were obtained from social media, a related court case, and other sources. Irizarry did not respond to messages. In a statement, acting Pentagon Press Secretary Joel Valdez said that Irizarry is qualified, patriotic young professional, and we are proud to have him as a political appointee. Again, if he was pardoned. If he was pardoned, there's nothing wrong with it. He meets the requirements of the job. He interviewed for it. He got appointed. Perfect. Perfect. Irizarry drove from South Carolina to Northern Virginia with 2 travel companions, Elliot Bechet and Grayson Sherrill, on January 25th, 2021, to attend the Stop the Steal rally the next day, according to the prosecution's sentencing memo. I can't read now all of a sudden. Irizarry was a freshman at the Citadel, a public military college in Charleston, South Carolina. Irizarry said and his friends listened to Trump's speech, but headed to the Capitol before the speech ended, according to the memo. Video shows Irizarry and his companions soon joined the throngs on the west side of the Capitol in the early afternoon. Irizarry, seen wearing a red bandana and MAGA hat, appeared to turn away from the crowd that had encircled a group of law enforcement officers. So he left the situation where officers might have been in danger. That sounds like a solid move in my opinion, because you didn't want to be beating on officers. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And you can't go to defend them, because either you're going to get beaten on, or you're going to be getting beaten on by the cops, because they're going to think you're part of the crowd. Moments later, Cheryl swung at a Cheryl swung at with a metal pole. Video shows Cheryl later pleaded guilty to assaulting federal officers and was sentenced to 7 months in custody. Okay, fine. He went to jail for it. Same page always. Same page. Okay. Yeah, we agree. Okay, so you got this video. I don't know which guy I'm supposed to be looking at. Oh, this guy. This is Eyesore. Well, he left. He left. Okay, he left. His friend did wrong. His friend did bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to excuse that behavior. You shouldn't hit cops, guys. Around 2:15, Eyesore and Blanche weaved their way through the mob and ascended stairs to the terrace level. According to the sentencing memo, video taken by Blanche shows Eyesore using his hand and metal pole to direct rioters towards the stairs he and Blanche had taken. The memo adds that a voice probably belonging to Eyesore was heard on the video telling rioters to go up the side. Go up the side. The post could not immediately locate that video. That's weird. Eyesore crawled through the broken window on the Senate side of the Capitol at around 2:26 p.m., still carrying the pole, video shows. As he entered, rioters chanted, "Whose house? Our house. Whose house? Our house." Because that's what it is. It is the people's house. It is the people's house, guys. Oh, Mr. Scott Awesome, I didn't even see you come in. Welcome, sir. Welcome, welcome, welcome. By this time, rioters were streaming into the building. According to the sentencing memo, Eyesore entered the private conference room, Senate Room S145, where he was photographed sitting in a chair. He proceeded to the crypt, a large vaulted chamber, and eventually up one floor to the rotunda, where video shows he climbed onto a Ronald Reagan statue and posed for a photo. Hopefully he wasn't trying to hump Ronald Reagan's leg or something. I mean, that's so cliche. Don't do it. Okay, that's fine. He didn't. That's fine. Eyesore exited the Capitol building after more than 20 minutes inside, according to the sentencing memo and video timestamps. In 2023, he apologized at his sentencing. "I'm ashamed because I will always be a part of this disgrace," as Eyesore said. January 6th represented something truly horrible. It was the largest attack on our democracy since the Civil War. How much was he paid to say that garbage? How much was he paid to say that garbage? It was unclear Wednesday who within the Trump administration appointed him to the Pentagon post. Well, somebody that knew he got pardoned, obviously, and it was a misdemeanor. Even if he wouldn't have been pardoned as part of this, it was a misdemeanor. Does not disqualify. It does not disqualify him. And aren't you on the left all about forgiveness, saying growth and personal accountability leads to greater things? We just read a story from Graham Platner where, I learned from the mistakes of my youth. I didn't know what that tattoo meant. I'm a better person than that now. And you're trying to hang this kid for trying to better himself. Grow beyond what was. Again, the hypocrisy of the left is driving me nuts. It is driving me insane. We cannot go like this forever. I don't understand. All right, let's keep going. Karen Reed lawsuit alleges history of disturbing text between Michael Proctor and Sean Good. The lawsuit filed Thursday by Karen Reed against Massachusetts State Police and Canton Police revealed a long history of disturbing text messages between former police officers Michael Proctor and Sean Good that allegedly included racial slurs, sexist comments, and other offensive material. Well, honestly, any conversation with any two guys has a chance of having all those things involved. I'm just saying. Proctor was the lead investigator in Reed's case. He was fired by the state police in March 2025. in part due to messages he sent about Reed that came to light during her first trial, including one where he said hopefully she kills herself. Now, you should never be hoping for that. It's not a good thing. Just don't do it. Good. A former Canton police sergeant resigned Tuesday in the middle of an internal investigation relating to dozens of messages between him and Proctor that date back as far as 2013. Text messages were obtained as part of a prosecution of Miles King and Dedham. Proctor's personal phone was preserved and searched as part of a murder trial. Proctor was the lead investigator for the case. Proctor's phone had been under a protective order, but Reed's attorney intervened and asked for permission to use the information from his cell phone and future litigation against Massachusetts State Police and Canton Police. On April 2nd, in a court filing, Reed revealed that she planned a lawsuit and the court agreed and she could use the text messages. According to Reed's lawsuit, in one message, Proctor told Good about a crash in Canton. Actually, take your time. I just saw a N-word. I'm not going to say it. I don't have the credentials to say it. I'm not going to say it. And honestly, I'm not going to say it anyway. Was involved, so I wouldn't rush. If you're working, let them die, Proctor allegedly wrote in a complaint stated. The lady was an absolute, well, this I'll say, was an absolute cunt rag. N-word maybe? Who had it in for me? For some reason, Proctor allegedly wrote in another message referring to a Boston Police Department employee who performed a background check on him earlier in his career and eventually did not hire him for a position. In one message, Reed's attorney said the Proctor wrote, it should be a punch a blank day, N-word day, punch an N-word day, and Canton today out of retribution. Any shine you see, blasted in the face. Jesus. Proctor allegedly wrote in another message, America sucks. Hitler was really onto something. Then the F blank blank G, huh? U.S. had to step in and ruin it. I don't even know what that one is. Good allegedly referred to Boston Mayor Michelle Wu as a little cunt. Well, I mean, maybe she was being a cunt. And said Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey can suck my dick. Well, maybe he was into her. He also made derogatory statement about Patriots owner Robert Kraft, who is Jewish. Oh my God, not the Jews. Former Canton police officer also used racial slurs against black and Asian people. Well, he's also been using, he's already been using the black slurs. He's already been using the black slurs, guys. I mean, this isn't news. He's already been doing it, already, like three or four paragraphs of them. The lawsuit also alleges Proctor and Good had a long-standing and deeply held biases against women. According to text messages in the lawsuit, Proctor and Good allegedly repeatedly discussed performing sexual acts on women, sometimes while they are asleep. They also allegedly referred to women in various vulgar terms as pigs. Well, I mean, the complaint alleges that Proctor wrote in one message that he needed a roofie or something to find a sexual partner. Good allegedly wrote about a high-profile case of Sandra Birchmore, who was found dead inside her Canton apartment. Birchmore's death was initially ruled as suicide. Later, former Stoughton police officer Matthew Farrell was charged with killing her and is now awaiting federal trial. The lawsuit alleges Good wrote that chick was borderline ard. I don't know. Ratchet? No. Borderline raped? I don't know what. You guys got to give me the context of the actual word. Seriously. In suing Massachusetts State Police, Canton Police, Reed claims that both departments knew or should have known about Proctor and Good's bigotry and retained officers who showed their bias and were unfit to investigate crimes. G-Nels! G-Nels! There's words I can't read, buddy. There's words I'm not allowed to read. So, you're not up here, though, so I can't have you read them for me either. How did the text messages become public? Were obtained as part of prosecution of Miles King and in Dedham. Proctor's personal phone was preserved and searched as part of a murder trial. Proctor was the lead investigator in the case. Proctor's phone had been under protective order, but Reed's attorneys intervened and asked for permission to use the information from the phone in future litigation against the state police and Canton police. On April 2nd, in a court filing, Reed revealed that she planned a lawsuit, and the court agreed that she could use the text messages. Reed's lawyers are requesting a jury trial. They seek damages and an amount to be calculated at trial, along with pre- and post-judgment interest, costs, and expenses. No, I'm not talking about Turtle Boy. This is a Karen Reed lawsuit. I'm talking about the Karen Reed lawsuit. I don't give a shit about Turtle Boy. These disturbing messages are entirely inconsistent with any basic standards of decency, and certainly with the expectations of Massachusetts State Trooper, Massachusetts State Police Colonel Jeffrey Noble about Proctor's messages in a statement. These racist, sexist, and abhorrent comments are absolutely do not reflect the values of not tolerated with ranks. They underscore my decision to terminate Michael Proctor. In a statement, Town Canton says that Norfolk Attorney's Office, which Reed declined comment. Yeah. I know, and I'm not following Turtle Boy. I don't care about Turtle Boy in any way. I just think this is interesting. Like I said, she's suing because of these guys text messages. I saw a blank was involved, an N-word was involved in a car accident. Yeah, these are abhorrent messages. They should not be said, especially between two officers. That shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen between anyone. I can't read that. You. I know you have no problem reading it, but I can't. I don't have the credentials to do so. But anyway, guys, this is wild. This was wild. So, you know what? I had to share it. I had to share it. My mic is glitching again. Of course, my mic is glitching. It's been so good for the last few days. Hopefully it's better. Maybe it was just me moving around. That happens every now and then. I do know that much. I get it, Gino. I get it, buddy. I get it. All right, let's see. Well, this is as good a time as any to just call it, guys. I don't have time for another story. I just don't have it in me. I don't. Crazy thing is, I got to go find a person to raid. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk to you while I find somebody to raid. Who do we got that is live? We got Ricada Law. We got We Are the Show, Bulldozer, Waffle Meat, Cool Frog, Sacred Angel, Dominion After Dark, Little Miss Daisy, Ashelon, John's Eye View, Black Fox, Alistair, Hey Man. Ooh. I don't see Third Railify. Is Third Railify not live tonight? Is Third Railify not live? That's weird. Aren't they usually live at this point? I don't know. All right, well, guess what? We're going to go to We Are the Show. We Are the Show is getting our attention tonight. We're going to like him. We're going to repost him. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. We are at the end of another fine week. And, well, hopefully I've informed. Hopefully I've delighted your attention tonight and this week in general. Guys, I'm going to end it as we always do. Like, comment, share, follow, do all those things. But more importantly, practice that gratitude. Stay humble, eat healthy, get fit. And for God's sakes, everybody, for me, on this wonderful weekend, go fishing. We'll see you all on Sunday. Have a great night and God bless.